Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to presenters and delegates of the International Conference on English Language 2022. Welcome to the SIG session on inclusive education, and we are very honored today to have with us two distinguished speakers, and I would confidently say that they are the experts in the area of inclusive education. Yeah. Today's session will focus on inclusive education, making education for special needs inclusive. All right. It is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Puan Hajah Salmah binti Jofri, who is currently the Director of Special Education Division, Ministry of Education. Her professional experience in teaching and management has paved her way to various positions in the ministry, and her current portfolio focuses on ensuring the rights to education for special needs children to continue further flourish through dedicated national rollout plans in place. So in her present role, she provides strategic direction, advocating leadership, and as an exemplary champion in strengthening the special education positive growth. Yeah, and our second panelist would be Dr. Napisah binti Kepol, who was an associate professor at University Pendidikan Sultan Idris Perak when she retired in 2020. Okay, in her experience, in the field of TESOL, and she taught many courses in the Department of English Language and Literature at the Faculty of Languages and Communication. Her research interests are ESL, EFL, teacher knowledge, second language teacher training, and professional development, grammar, and also assessment. All right, and I, Azlina Muhammad, will be the moderator for today. Right, thank you so much to our panelists for accepting our invitation and also to provide our audience tonight some insights on inclusive education. Yeah, so I believe inclusive education is not new in the education arena, and to begin with, it would be good if we have a general concept of what inclusive education is. So shall I address that to Puan Hajah Salmah?
Thank you so much, Madam Dr. Moderator, Dr. Azlina, and thank you so much for inviting me to this ICEL 2022. Okay, before we start on the visualization, I'd like to highlight on this. Okay, before we really discuss on inclusive education, disabled inclusive education, first I would like to draw the attention of the audience with regard to special education in Malaysia. So our setting in Malaysia, okay, first, where does this special educational need children, or where does this special educational needs students or pupils get their education? They can get their education if, let's say, they go to special education schools, or to special education integrated program, or special or IEP, inclusive education program. Okay, we have three settings in Malaysia. So meaning to say they either go to the special education school. So when we talk about special education school, throughout Malaysia we have 28 28 primary school all over Malaysia, and we have 6 secondary schools. In which out of these 6 secondary schools, 4 secondary school, they are focused on vocational training. And then 2, they are focused on academic. Okay? So we have altogether, we have 34 special education school in Malaysia. And what else? I guess you can see from the slide. As you can see from the slide, we have another set is special education integrated program, in which this special integrated program. Okay, what is special integrated program? Special education integrated program. Okay, let's say it is a mainstream school, but we do have special class for special educational needs children. Okay, altogether we have about 935 secondary. We have about 935 schools, secondary schools, in which we have special education integrated program, and 1,625 under the primary schools. Okay, okay, okay. Meaning to say that they mix, but then where do they study? In their special class, but in the mainstream schools. I forgot to mention earlier, for the special schools, 100% they are special educational need children of various category. We had to have um, the blind, the deaf, multiple disability, physical disability, the LDs. Okay, the LDs, when we talk about the LDs, this is where we refer to the ADHD, the autism, the Down syndrome, etc. And we do have also um, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, and dyslexia. Maybe normally you heard about dyslexia. When I mentioned dyscalculia, you're wondering what is calculia. Okay? And on top of that, we do have uh, inclusive education program. Okay, what is inclusive education program? Okay, the definition of inclusive program varies. Different country, they do have different definition for inclusive education program, but no one is wrong. So to our country, in our country, how do we define inclusive education program? Okay, let's say we do have two types of inclusive education program, that is the partial inclusive and also full inclusive. Okay, if it is full inclusive education program, meaning to say our children, the SEN children, they study in the mainstream class, in the mainstream school, in the mainstream classroom, together with the mainstream children. Sometimes they call the typical children and the mainstream children. But the numbers of the SEN children in the mainstream classroom is normally not more than 5. We don't encourage them to have more than 5 due to certain challenges for the teachers. That is what we call full inclusive education program in our country. And we do have the partial inclusive education. Okay, for this partial inclusive education program, the student who attend this partial inclusive education program, meaning to say, most of the school, they do have special education integrated program. But sometimes, certain subject, they will go and join children in the mainstream class. For it, you are partial, yes. That is how we define uh, inclusive education program in our country. And this carries the biggest number, as you can see from the slide. 204. We do have the IEP in 2,465 primary school and also 1,167 in the secondary schools. So we need to say all over Malaysia. That is why if let's say the first time you wonder how come we have only 34 schools cater to the needs of the special education program, but then now you can see. Okay. Altogether we have about 6,000 plus schools in which have our children. Okay, because we have about 10,000 plus schools, and almost 60% of the school do have our children. Okay, so I think.
Right. Thank you very much, Puan Hajah Salmah. Yes, it's interesting to see the numbers, yeah, how we have actually started to accommodate our, you call it SEND, as special education needs to educational needs children, yeah. And I think we would like to also hear from the educator's point of view, Dr. Napisah, with your experience in both in schools and also in at tertiary level. Have you ever experienced inclusive education being practiced in your years of experience in teaching? I would like to share on that.
Thank you, Dr. Azlina. Yes, I do have a little bit of experience, but that was a long time ago, teaching 2 SEN students in my classroom when I was teaching in a secondary school. So at that time, I wasn't aware of inclusive education. The students were placed in my classes. I wasn't informed beforehand. And when I went to class, they were there. So that's how I learned what being inclusive is about. Although I didn't really have a good idea.
Of what students are.
That's right.
And even their presence within the classroom, the mainstream classroom, is it? Having them in the mainstream classroom, you're not expecting them to be in the mainstream classroom?
I wasn't expecting them there. And I wasn't prepared. So, but then I learned through experience, I suppose, that's about inclusivity. I was nervous, I was worried, but I was excited at the same time because it was something new to me. Suddenly I have two blind students in my class. And then I had to just learn by myself. How do I handle them? How do I teach them? So
how long ago was this, Doctor?
It was a long time ago in the late 80s.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
You're not aware.
No.
Yeah.
We are not aware of the existence of special education.
No.
Yeah, I think that as we progress, we are more aware and making the necessary changes to
That's
the
right.
education system as well.
And then when I taught in university, I also had a partially impaired student, and then I had I think 2 courses with autistic boys. But I think it was very mild because the autism was mild because I didn't know they were autistic.
I see.
Yeah, because you couldn't really tell if they are high functioning, except when other students have a little bit of problem with them, complaining about how they're not really doing what they're supposed to do. They're part of the group work. But even then, I didn't think it was autism. Yeah, again, I wasn't informed beforehand. So I think that's a problem. That was the main problem. I wasn't informed beforehand. I was informed after the semesters were over, except for that partially visually impaired student.
Very obvious.
Yes, because it's very obvious. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Napisah. All right, coming back to you, Puan Hajah Salmah. Now that we have all these different programs in store for our special needs, special educational needs students, you were referring them to what extent do you think it is effective now in terms of its implementation and achieving its objective in Malaysia?
Actually, as mentioned earlier by Dr. Wright before, that we have this inclusive education program, but she did not realize it. Even myself, I say at first we do not know. But way back in when we had our MDP, Malaysian Education Blueprint, Malaysian Education Blueprint 2013-2025. This is where we really, the Ministry of Education, we are very committed in ensuring the special education, ensuring they get quality education. That is where we really look into. We do have the correspondent of this special inclusive education program. So as you can see, under we have this initiative, the initiative 34, that is increasing access and quality of education for special educational children. Actually, it is we do have 3 phases, right? 2013 to 2015, 2016 to 2020, 2021 to 2025. And actually, we hope that we will achieve 75% of our SEN children to be in inclusive education program by 2025. I do have speech problem today. Okay, but as August 2022, we have achieved about 82.05%.
Excellent.
Meaning to say exceed target. But it is not easy. It is not easy. Even though maybe you can see from the achievement, the achievement is 82.505, but we do have challenges in managing a quality education for these children.
Like, good that you have highlighted the issue on challenges, which is exactly the next question I would like to ask. Yeah, with any kind of implementation, policy implementation, it comes with challenges, right? So, from the perspective of the policymakers themselves, what would be the most challenging that you have actually overcome and currently still continue trying to cope?
Okay. I may divide them into two categories. Let's say the human resource. When we talk about the human resource, we are talking about the competencies of of the teachers, of the special ed teachers, and the special or the mainstream teachers. Okay. For example, when it comes to IEP for the IEP, the teachers who teach our children, they are the mainstream teachers. They are the subject matter expert teachers, but they do not know how to handle. They all I cannot say that they do not know at all, but they have difficulties in handling our children, right? So these are the challenges. So what do we do? So we need to say, as the custodian of special education, become special education division, we are the custodian of special education in Malaysia. So we really look these challenges seriously. And how do we increase the competencies of the teachers? So we do give the children, we do give the teachers in-service training and everything. Then the second thing is about the infrastructure. This is another challenge in the ministry. You know, when we talk about infrastructure, we don't talk about the 50 ringgit materials. It might cost you thousands, 100,000, and altogether we have 10,000 schools. How do we educate the 10,000 schools with the sand-friendly the disabled facilities, kan? So this is the most challenging part. We need lots of money for that. But Alhamdulillah, for the past 3 years, I think we are into it. I think even the government, even the minister, they are very much into this, looking into these infrastructure matters. So we are very happy with that. And that is the second challenge. And the third one, early detection. Some parents, they do not know that their children, they do have certain disability. And some, when they have identified denial, some parents they cannot accept it. But Alhamdulillah, nowadays, more parents, they are very open to it. And we are very happy. Where way back in 2005, I think 2005, when I first joined special education, we managed to capture only 15,000, 15 children only. But now, as of 31st August 2022, the special educational children enrolled in our system is about 101,000 plus children.
That's a big increase, yeah,
Yeah.
in numbers. Correct. So that's another point of success, I would say.
And then another challenge is the learning materials. Different students, they need different learning materials. Because for the blind, definitely Braille. For the deaf, definitely they need transistor and everything. And the teachers, the competencies of teachers, if it is in the mainstream, or if it is in inclusive education, as I mentioned earlier, the subject matter expert, definitely they are not good with the sign language and everything. So we need to give the in-service training for the teachers and the Braille someone. And how to use the Braille, how to read, how to translate. But luckily now, in this modern world, we have numbers of equipment in which can translate the Braille into reading text. So that should go. Okay, and what else? What else? What are the other challenges? The public awareness, the acceptance. We are talking about the acceptance, right? The acceptance of the public. It is in the school itself. The acceptance of the children, of the colleague, of the teachers, of the administrators, and everyone. But Alhamdulillah, we do carry out the program, the body system program, in which now they do accept our children in the mainstream school.
That's very interesting point. It's a new insight for me as well. Dr. Napisah, you were saying that you had these children or students in your classroom. So what was the challenges that you faced then? I know it's a few maybe years ago, but then how do you see those challenges? And maybe you will be able to relate to the ones that's been addressed by Puan Hajah Salmah as well.
Yeah, I think in terms of teacher training, we need that a lot. I think that's the place to tackle, if we see it as a challenge, I think that's like among the first challenge that we need to tackle because the teachers are the implementers. So from my experience as well, I could still remember, I was wondering, what do I do with these two students, And then I only did what I thought I should do, which was checking up on them quite often, and then trying to help them explaining things repeatedly to them, for example, because they couldn't see. So when I use visuals, they cannot see, and I don't know how to turn my visuals into Braille. I was fascinated by the Braille, which they turned into me with transcriptions. And I was also amazed, with the textbook, all Braille. And all I could do was flip and feel, but I didn't understand. So that was not really a good feeling, although I was amazed, but I wish I know what's written without having it being transcribed to me. So in terms of teacher training, yes, that's very important. Teachers have to be trained, fully trained, because it is a big challenge for them. Especially if they are just thrown into their labs without any proper preparation, that's like a really big challenge. Yeah.
Puan Salmah, in your knowledge, do we still have teachers who are given these inclusive classrooms without any preparation? Do we still have that, or we are already making sure that they are well equipped?
We do have that. And we have identified them. And we're going. It is an ongoing process when you talk about the training teachers to upgrade their competencies. It is an ongoing process. And I just hope that next year we will get certain allocation of fund so that we can go robust in ensuring that all teachers who teach to special education need children, they get their training. It is not on subject matter expert because most of the teachers under the IEP, they are the subject matter expert, but on how to handle the children, the behavioral of the children, the behavioral aspect of the children.
In managing them in the classroom itself.
So with relation to that, what kind of support do you think these teachers would need? As you mentioned, you like to roll out more training for them. What other aspects of support do you think it will be helpful to ensure that they are able to, fulfill their role better?
Okay. Actually, we have numbers of engagement with the UNICEF. UNICEF, they do come up with a framework.
Yeah.
They call it Disability Inclusive Education Framework. Okay, in which under this framework they have outlined the enabling environment in which to for the better in service delivery. So as you can see from the side, then these are the supporting enabling environment. But in also, can you go back to the previous slide? So this is the UNICEF one. So based on the engagement with the UNICEF, so we do adopt and adapt these framework to suit our need, to suit Malaysian need. Okay, so shall we move? And then, as you can see, these are the supporting element or enabling environment in our education, in which, as you can see, We do have the law and policies, we have data, we have leadership and management and finance, in which what are the law policies in which encourage inclusive education program under the Education Act 1996, Education Regulation Special Education 2013, and then what is most important is the Malaysia Education Blueprint 2013 and 2025, and also Person with Disability in 2008, in which all these acts, they emphasize on giving, ensuring the children with disability, and we talk about children with disability, they get their proper education, proper and quality education. So, and then how do we go and find them? We do have AMIS for school management, we have student database so that we know of their location and everything, of their needs and everything, and then we do have some research studies to know more about the needs of the children. And for the leadership and management, we do have our counterpart, that is in the state department, district department, and then also the IEB and everything, and also definitely the main thing is the finance part. See, the finance part is education for special education program, and we do have, for your information, we do have allowances for the children who teach a special education children, that is 250, and for our the PPM, we do have the students, we do have 150, 200 ringgit, and allowance for special educational children. We do provide our special educational children with 150 per month.
Oh,
So
the individual children, you
yeah,
mean?
the individual children. As you know, now we have about 100,000 plus children.
Yes, correct.
For 1 year, the government and the Ministry of Education, we allocate about more than 170 million for them a year.
So do you think that is the reason why parents are more aware and more accepting on the fact that their children would need a special education need education?
Yeah, on top of that, okay, now we move to, okay, I think I just go, okay, on top of that, of the teachers, we have touched on teachers, right? Yeah, that's on the instruction, and we have touched on the learning material. And now I would like to move to the curriculum. Okay, for special educational children, okay, they have choices. Okay, whether based on their ability, okay, based on their ability, if they are able to follow the mainstream curriculum, they will go to the mainstream curriculum, the national curriculum. And for those who can sit for the national curriculum, they will sit for the public exam, that is SPM, STP, etc. If let's say they cannot follow the mainstream curriculum or that is the national curriculum, so we do have the modified curriculum, but it is still a mainstream curriculum, but it is modified based on their disability, and for the blind and for the deaf. So, and still they can sit for the public exam too. If let's say they really cannot follow the national curriculum, so we do have one curriculum which is specialized to cater to the needs of the children with disabilities. Kalau in bahasa they say KSSM.
Yes,
KSSM, and then there's got PK behind, special ed.
Special ed.
Special ed. And this curriculum, we do have KSSM and we do have KSSR. The KSSR is for the primary schools and KSSM is for the secondary school.
Yeah.
And for the secondary school, and that it is mainly, the focus, most of it focus on the skill. On the skills. And if let's say they don't really need to go to these three curriculum, we do have skill curriculum in which we go together with the human resource ministry, and then we do have SKM, Sijil Kemahiran Malaysia. This is the full Sijil Kemahiran Malaysia. That is why I did mention to you earlier. We do have 4 secondary schools in which focusing on vocational,
yeah, the one that you showed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that is why when these children or the parents, they do have choices.
Mm-hmm.
Then that is why the awareness is there. Yeah. Then they send the children. And on top of that, starting from last year, we do have our own special assessment. And thanks to the examination syndicate, we call it Pentaksiran asas sekolah menengah. Apa no? Pentadbiran alternatif sekolah menengah. This is and it is endorsed by the examination syndicate. It is not only
So there's a special paper for the special educational needs students.
Continuous assessment.
I see. So it's part of the continuous assessment.
Yeah.
So, okay, interesting. So basically, this is already the way forward, correct?
Yeah,
This is, in a way of saying that this is actually the way forward, that moves or plans that you have in place to ensure that such quality education is provided to the SEN children, the SEN children. All right, Dr. Napisah, would you like to add on what do you think would be a way forward also that you would like to add to what we already have currently in plan? Any other things that you think you like to add in terms of what other needs that needs to be accommodated in order to fulfill the special needs education children?
Well, you have taken most of my points. That's all right. No problem. I'll just add on a little bit more about teacher readiness, the importance of that. If we are to move forward, then we have to make sure that teachers are ready. We have to equip them with enough adequate training. For example, on methods of teaching that are suitable for SEN students. And then also, teachers also need how to train their students on how to support their classmates who are special students. So that's also very important because the English classroom especially, I think is quite conducive it's good for SEN students, for special students. We are used to the communicative approach. We are trained on developing literacy. So all those can be used, for supporting special students. Yeah. And then, we mustn't forget about training teachers on how to train the students. I think that is very, very important. And then, of course, the training shouldn't just be one-off. It should be on a regular basis, CPD maybe, and then some regular training programs. Another thing I want to add, if we are to move forward, is to ensure also that for pre-service teachers, inclusive education should be included in the curriculum, in the syllabus or in the programs for undergraduate pre-service teachers. Only then that we can, move forward further, because you are tackling mainly in-service teachers. What about the new teachers coming in? So we have to think about them as well and prepare them in advance.
I think even our IPG,
yes,
University of UPSI,
that's right.
And the ECCE, yes, they do embedded the special curriculum in their course, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, UPSI has
the contact hour for that.
Yes, UPSI has a department for special education, but then the students coming out will be graduates of special education. So what I'm trying to get here is all students. I mean, all
Education.
right.
The pre-service teacher.
All pre-service teachers, not just those specializing in SEN, but all the teachers.
For the IPG, yes, we do have, but for the university, I think we are not very sure of that. But some universities, yes, we do collaborate with them.
Yes,
and we will tell them to come to the university. But we would like to encourage them to.
Yes.
To have this at least a few contact hours with regard to special and matters education, especially.
Yeah, or maybe a course. Yeah, they can easily put in a course. For example, in TESOL, one of the topics or one of the courses will be inclusive education. Something like
we
that.
have that in IPG.
Yeah.
We do have, we do offer that in the courses, the programs. I believe that will be a good point as well to ensure that regardless whether you are majoring in any subject matter, you have some background on inclusive education, because again, when you go for posting, you might not know where you're going actually,
which
right?
school.
So
Yes.
because it depends on where you're posted, and should you be by any chance be posted to a school or a classroom, assigned to a classroom in which you would have inclusive education, at least that background would actually help you to move on. Yes, Puan Salmah?
Okay, I would like to add a little bit.
Yeah.
We do have support system. As I mentioned earlier, support system, it comes in monetary or in kind. Kind, but as I mentioned that just now, the children, we do give them the allowance, right? The
Yeah.
ringgit per month. And on top of that, we do have allied educators. What is allied educators? We do have our own audiologists. We do have our own clinical psychologists. We do have our education psychologists and occupational therapists, and there are a few again. And we do have 13 centers to carry out the screening process or the intervention program for the children. So if let's say they need to do some intervention, they can go to this center to get the intervention. Okay, this is, and on top of that, again, I would like to highlight here, our children, okay, for the mainstream children, they will sit for their exam with the SPM at the age of 17,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
But our children, they get extra 2 years.
Oh.
2 years.
So they sit at the age of 19?
And
No.
if let's say they sit for the public exam, they may sit at 18 or 19.
Ah,
Okay. For these 2 extra years, they can take each other during their primary school, 2 years in primary school, or 2 years in secondary school, or 1 year in primary school, or 1 year in secondary school. But due to current situation, the development of this current situation with regard to our curriculum, so I would like to encourage teachers, I would like to encourage parents not to let the children stay too long in the primary school until the age of 14. Okay, when they reach the age of 12 and then the age of 13, I would like them, advise them to let the children go to the secondary school. Why? Because of the curriculum, the new curriculum meant for the special educational, because it is on, I mentioned earlier, on skill.
Yes, right. Skill-based.
Skill-based, which is they have more time for that.
So the special allowance should be spent during the
Secondary school. That is, but it is not a policy. But I would like to advise.
Yeah.
It will be better in terms of transition as well, isn't it? And they are more focused at secondary towards what they need, which is skill-based.
If let's say, they study in the vocational school, they will get additional 1 year. So
On top of the 2 years?
Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
then only for the vocational school.
All right.
So,
That's very interesting on the kind of effort made to ensure that quality education is also served, made available to the special educational needs children. All right, we have actually come. Thank you so much for the insights and also the information, and Dr. Napisah, for your experience. We have come towards the end of this session. I would like to open for questions from the floor. Any questions for our speakers? Yes.
Would you like to? But I have a daughter which is in BPKHAS. She is in standard 4. I would like to ask, why isn't the special needs child given a chance to bring back their textbook? They are not allowed, because they are not allowed to bring textbook home.
oh, I see.
So how are they going to study at home? How can they
Okay. Yeah, I've adopted this question before. Yeah.
Okay.
I've adopted this question before.
All right.
Okay, there are a few rationale from the teacher, from the class teacher, because they feel that sometimes if they bring back the book will never come back to school. But you may tell the teachers that you want to take the book back home. You just go and discuss with the teachers. Definitely they will allow.
I already did.
You already did.
They did enough stock.
Or did he mention that?
So I bought a tab, I download all the textbooks for my daughter, but I think it's the mainstream students also, they won't sit for so long.
Yeah, okay. If that's the matter, okay, I will discuss with you later. Can I?
All right, thank you so much for the question. Any other questions from the floor? Yes.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Okay. It relates with the rules and regulation. Actually, it relates with the rules and regulation. Okay. For example, okay, as mentioned earlier, this denial, the parents they deny, they cannot accept the fact that their children is special. Okay. The children, what the teachers should do, and the special ed teachers should do. I think they have advised the parents. They must have advised the parents, and I think because in school we have a committee, a special ed committee, and they have checked. They have various meetings to decide whether these children should be placed in the PPKI or in the mainstream, right? Okay, if let's say, even though the student is special ed children, but if they are able to be in the mainstream, that is under IEP, they should be in the IEP. But some they are not. Okay, but the parents cannot accept. What you can do is still do not. But you really need to advise the parent. But at the end of the day, the decision is on the parent. Is on the parent. But what we can do is I hope that the special ed teachers will help the mainstream teachers to adapt to the need of the children. I do understand. I know that there are numbers of teachers who raise this issue in the school. But because in our rules and regulations, the last decision, the final decision decided by the parents. Yeah, we do have that. Actually, we do have that. What do we mean by? And
many of the articles and aspects. So I'm just wondering, because people have shared your best practices with so many pedagogical approaches and all that, is there any platform that you have for special?
Okay, for your information, in our country, we are very lucky. In our country, we do have SEN. SEN is Southeast Asian Ministers of Education, Regional Center for Special Education. Now, NEET, that is in Malacca. Yeah, I think you know that. Yeah, in IPG, Durian Daun Malacca, I think, in Durian Daun Malacca. And this organization, they do really carry out this kind of activities. Maybe one of these days you may contact them. They do have this kind of activity.
Yeah.
Samuel Sen. Previously, I was the director of Samuel Sen. Samuel, SEAMEOSEN. Southeast Asia Ministers of Education Organization, a regional center for special educational needs.
It is actually in IPG Perempuan Melayu Melaka.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, in Durian Daun.
Durian Daun Melaka. Yeah. And I'm the alumni too.
Right, thank you so much for the question. Any other questions? Yes.
Problem is, I'm not an expert on SEN education. Yeah, but I think in terms of assessment, the subject matter expert, the mainstream teachers will have to work with the special education teachers. Because for different SEN students, they have different challenges. So that has to be taken into account. And then most probably the SEN teachers, the special education teachers, will be the ones who would know more about the progress or the development of skills and knowledge of the special students. So they do have to work together. The subject matter expert, the mainstream teachers, will have the knowledge of creating, for example, school-based, classroom-based assessment, because now they are being trained on that. Yeah, and then the special education teacher has knowledge about how to work with special students. So they really have to work together. Yeah.
So that you benefit from both.
Yes.
They use the same instrument.
The same instrument.
But modified, yeah, modified,
Yeah, the modified.
differentiated. They have to be adjusted, I think. Yeah, depending on how capable the special students are. If they are as capable as the mainstream students or typical students, then they can use the same instruments. But if they are
And the BPKHAS.
right, yeah. If they're not, then the assessment, the same instrument, has to be modified or adjusted according to their needs.
Thank you so much. Any other questions from the floor? No? All right. I think that's...
Can
yes.
I ask one question?
Yes. One question from our panelists to the other.
To the audience or to the panelists? Not to the panelists.
She wants to ask you, Bonajo.
Yes. Don't worry, I'm just curious. You have a lot of plans for a lot of plans.
Plans?
Yes, for special students, right? For inclusive education, but at the primary and secondary level of schooling. So do you have any plans for them after that?
Yes, we do have that.
Oh, okay, that's
We-
good.
We do have that. It is in our framework. It is that we are not able to post-secondary. Yes.
Okay,
Mm.
for post-secondary.
Yes, what happened? What happens to them after that? Mm-hmm.
We do we do we do I mean
Try to accommodate.
we do accommodate. It is not it is like a service after sales.
Yeah, after sales service.
Hajah, that's-
After sales service.
I just don't go and sell the things and then after that it's up to you all. No, it's not that.
That's good. That's good.
That is the analogy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
We do have collaboration with our partner, with our strategic
Mhm.
partners. For instance, we do have collaboration with the higher institution, and then we do have collaboration with organizations like Tesco, McDonald's, especially
Mhm.
McDonald's, and then
To employ them?
For employment purposes.
For employment.
Yeah, for employment.
Oh, that's good.
So
Yeah,
kind of
that's
like
good.
you follow up on their progress as well through your partners, strategic
We do
partners.
arrange for that. We do arrange for the interviews and everything.
Oh, that's really interesting. So
That's good.
it's a matter of getting them ahead, prepared for the real life as well.
Mm. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Because one of the students from my previous school,
Uh-huh.
if I used to, I was seeing the same thing, I used to read the video, I think 19 minutes, so one day I was, so one day I went to this McDonald's. Yeah, I was eating and this little kid, pizza. From the president. So I asked him, how much is it? And then he said, like, how long is the salary? And
That is the success story that is going.
Yes, that's exactly a good success story to be shared. Yeah. Yes, good. Because these are instances, experience that we ourselves experienced.
We talk about the skill day to day, right? So the school and I'm just talking about the experience that I we had in the school different skills for the students. Some of them would be doing Jofri.
Yeah, that's
They had ID service, and some would do car washing. Some they did farming. So these teachers in the school will always get fresh vegetables. They will come and sell to us. So it helps them to calculate how to exchange money, people, like that. So in the main teacher, you always get them. When they calculate how much money do I get from this, it's actually getting them to their life. And we also get the privilege of sending our library to them.
Why you right? Yeah, that's right.
And they have
Even some school they do have the dry cleaning service. Yes, some school they do.
and our boss will come and take it from us, so the teachers from will come and get the keys.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we'll drive our car to get our keys.
Even Alan, I may tell you some of the success stories. One of our students they do have the laundry, and then some of it they do have a very big farm or the pineapple farm. It is in Johor. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Interesting.
The honey bee. Right.
So we can actually see the success of what we have in plan for them, the effort that we have actually have for our SEN children. And I think we should work towards ensuring that they are given equal quality education for them to actually survive in our society.
We are very committed in ensuring that
Yeah.
our children they get equal
Opportunities, yes.
with equal opportunity with regard to education.
Yeah. That's very good. Thank you so much, Puan Hajah Salmah, for such informative insights on special educational needs, and also Dr. Napisah for sharing your experience. We have come to the end. On behalf of the organizer, we'd like to thank you for being here, for being with us and sharing your information about special education and also the experiences, success stories as well. So thank you very much. That will be the end of our session for today. Thank you to the audience, and I wish you a pleasant evening for the rest of the day, and see you. Bye-bye.
Sports, yeah. Sports, yeah. We do have Zia and we have